What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Angel Road Outdoors, the podcast. This week is episode 12. Man, I was really confident going into that statement and then had to backtrack. So it's just Brett today. It's just Uncle Brett. You know, I had a little bit of a... God damn, I've had mouth problems for fucking 23 years. I've said this on a previous podcast. I just said it with my buddy Uncle Joe over there at the Generations to Hum podcast. I got punched in the mouth in 1999 at Pine Knob Music Theater at a Beach Boys Creedence Clearwater Revisited concert, and my mouth has never been the same since. I was 1 week away from my high school graduation open house, and I got sucker punched and broke 4 of my front teeth in half. They had to have veneers put on, and then the top middle one developed. I needed to get a root canal, which then failed, which then made me 20 years plus later have to have my tooth pulled. And then they told me I can't put a fake tooth in there until you adjust your bite. And so I started Invisalign, which is a pain in my ass. And then I just cracked a molar because my bite has changed due to Invisalign, due to missing a tooth, due to getting punched, and I just had to have a fucking crown put on. So sincerely, fuck you to the guy that punched me in the mouth at Pine Knob Music Theater in 1999, but that's not what this podcast is about. I have not had an opportunity to find a guest for this week's podcast because I have been suffering with mouth pain and then dealing with away from home hockey tournament, youth hockey tournament with my son. And so here you get me. It is Monday, December 4th. And you might be asking yourself, now what? For a lot of people in Michigan, gun season, traditional gun season is over. Historically, there was a little bit of a break before muzzleloader season would begin, which is technically just fucking second gun season, which then rolls right into the third gun season, which is late antlerless, private-only doe harvesting with a gun. So pretty much Michigan has gun from November the 15th until almost the end of the year. And for those of us who prefer to bow hunt, and again, nothing wrong with gun hunting. I've killed plenty of deer with a gun. You might be asking it's just a lot of gun hunting, man. It's just a lot of gun hunting, I hate wearing orange, whatever. So anyway, you might be asking yourself, now what? What do I do with myself? You know, maybe you spent a little time gun hunting this season. You know, you put the bow down on November 15th. And let's just say you don't have a muzzleloader. So you used your shotgun and you shot a doe or you shot a buck and you filled one of your buck tags and you still got a tag burning a hole in your pocket and it's back to either muzzleloader or archery. Now what? You look outside and look at the back of your truck, it's a mess. Your totes that were once organized at the beginning of the season are now in disarray. You don't know which scent lock bag has what clothes in it, and you might have some pants in that one. You might have some shirts also in that one, or maybe some socks, or maybe some long underwear in one. That's really only supposed to have your light, medium weight clothing in it. And then you start rifling through that, and maybe there's some of your waterproof stuff is in there, and then maybe you find an undershirt that you forgot to wash, and now the rest of your clothes smell like armpits. Now what? What do you do? Like, where are you at in your part of the season? For me, and a lot of people, you have shot a doe. You put some meat in your freezer. A lot of us have shot a buck, and you've put additional meat in your freezer. And you look at the meat in the freezer, and you think to yourself, wow, that's a lot. I mean, that'll probably get most of the way through the year. I mean, what am I doing? Am I trophy hunting or am I meat hunting? And just take a second. Be honest with yourself. Why are you doing this? Are you doing it for the hunt? Are you doing it for the social media internet clout? Are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing it for your family? Are you doing it for meat? Why do you hunt? Now is a great opportunity in the beginning of December as we go into the end of hunting season. Why are you doing what you do? And I think if you ask yourself that question, and if you're really honest, it will help guide you through the rest of the season. I think it's a great opportunity, almost like a cleanse, for you to take all of your hunting stuff that's been tossed around as you anxiously hunted the last couple of weeks and maybe reorganize everything and maybe put a few things away that you've been carrying around and maybe haven't touched not one time all season. It's a good time to separate your late season gear and make sure that it is still clean. It doesn't have any funky odors from the first time you washed it till today, because inevitably we will inherently get a little bit colder as we move through December. It's not crazy cold now here in Southeast Michigan, but it will be probably before the end of the month. Just give yourself a fresh start. I think a lot of us find ourselves at this time of year in a rut. You know, like you have that Cisco CD that's really scratched up because of how many times you've listened to the Thong song since the 90s. You know, you just keep hitting that thong, 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 thong. You never really get to that thong. You never really get to hear the word thong. We're sort of, as humans, stuck in this rut right now of, you know, just kind of just getting by. You know, our shit's not organized, but we know where enough of it is just to get by. Well, stop. That's no way to live. This is a great opportunity to reorganize, recenter, refocus yourself for the rest of the season, and maybe take a look, if you, like me, if you made some goals this year, kind of revisit those goals, cross a few things off, maybe reprioritize some of those goals. Did you put a deer in the freezer for your family? Excellent. Cross that off the list. Did you have like maybe 3 that you wanted to get this year? Well, okay, let's prioritize, you know, as we go into the last few weeks here, let's prioritize harvesting at least another doe. You know, let's make sure that you are putting food in your freezer for the family. Reprioritize those goals that you set throughout the year, but do not let go of those goals that you set for yourself. If you said to yourself, I want to go onto public land and shoot a buck, make sure that you don't completely abandon that goal, because there is still a lot of time. But I think refocusing yourself, reharnessing some of your strategies, refocusing on your priorities, and maybe thinning out some of the process, you know, like that hunting tote you have that has a bunch of unnecessary shit in it and a bunch of little Debbie wrappers. Clean out the garbage and refocus on what it is that you want to do for the rest of the season, and go out there and execute it. But Brett, I don't know how. There's too many other people on public. Then go somewhere else. I have heard so many people talk about how there's so many people hunting public land, and the real killers have plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E, plan F, and plan G, and maybe even more. But you've got to set yourself up for success and not limiting yourself to a very narrow set of parameters to get it done. And if that means that you have to go to bed at 8:30 so that you can get up at 2 and drive a little bit further to a separate piece of public that you don't think people are going to be at, but you haven't been there because it's too hard or you have to get up too early, now is the time of year to go to those public pieces. The majority of those people that you saw on public land during gun season are probably not going to be there right now. They blew their wad for those 2 weeks of the traditional gun season, and most people are not out muzzleloader hunting during this time of year. And I say muzzleloader very loosely, considering you can use a straight-walled cartridge pretty much anywhere in the state of Michigan right now. now is the time to push it, and push it real good. I believe it was Salt and Peppa that said, push it. Push it, man. Go to bed early, get up early when you have that free time to hunt, and go to that public that you've been thinking about but haven't been to. And even if you see a truck, hunt it anyways. You have absolutely nothing to lose. So I say again, now what? What am I going to do? What's Uncle Brett going to do for the rest of the year? Uncle Brett still has his Michigan combo license in his pocket, burning a hole in his pocket. Uncle Brett still has a Kansas tag. Uncle Brett now has a Wisconsin tag. And so, Uncle Brett was really thinking about asking his wife if it was okay to go back to Kansas for like a half a week, a little bit further into December. But then Uncle Brett cracked a molar, and Uncle Brett had to buy a fucking crown for his tooth. And so that is part of the reason I went on a tirade in the beginning of this episode. But I don't know if I can swing it now that I just blew my wad that I would probably have been able to spend in Kansas on a frickin' crown for my teeth. So I'm going to focus on Michigan, and I'm going to focus on Wisconsin. I do have to go to Wisconsin for work a couple times over the next few weeks, so maybe I'll just go hunt a few days in Wisconsin and try and see what I can scrounge up over there. I was going to do it last week, but my tooth broke. Michigan, in my area, I have an extended archery season that goes all the way through January due to urban deer population. And when I say urban, I don't mean like Air Jordans and, a juvenile concert. I'm talking like just highly dense populated areas, yet also tons of deer. And so in order to thin out the deer herd, they allow residents in 3 local counties to hunt all the way through January, archery only. And I've hunted that every year. I've never found success. I don't think I've ever shot a deer in January. I've always buck hunted at that point, and I think I've probably had doe opportunities then, but I just have never taken a deer. I'm going to wait till the very end of December and the weather getting really cold, because I love hunting in the cold and the snow, and then all the way through January. That's probably when I'll focus on doing my Michigan hunting for my 2 tags. I really just want to shoot a buck in Michigan and just 1 deer, 1 buck in Michigan. And I would like it to be in public. And I've got a few places in mind. I think my brother does too. I don't have a deer on my private properties that I want to shoot. Like, I could shoot another doe, and I may for a friend who likes to buy meat from me. But I don't want to shoot another doe down in Hillsdale. I don't want to shoot another doe in Clarkston for myself. I want to shoot a buck. And since there's no bucks on either one of those properties that I want to shoot, I'm going to go try and find something on public, which is something that I've never been able to do before. But I have learned a lot about reading maps and boots on the ground scouting, and I'm probably going to go ahead and do that. Like I said, last 2 weeks of December throughout central and maybe southwest Michigan, and then in January I'll focus around my house if I can't get it done. So that's what Uncle Brett is going to do in his now what, as his now what answer. What are you going to do? Hit me up in the comments on Instagram and let me know, what's next for you? Now what? What are you going to do? How are you going to take the lessons you learned all the way through December 4th in your hunting season and apply it to the rest of your hunting season? Are you done? Do you still have tags in your pocket? What are your goals? Let me know. What are some of your goals that you still want to achieve in 2023? And how are you going to get there? Starting tomorrow, December 5th, how are you going to achieve your goals? Me personally, I am going to start making an effort to getting boots on the ground in some of these public pieces that I've got pins on throughout central, western, and southwestern Michigan as I travel to Illinois for work. As I go to Wisconsin, I'm going to go to Wisconsin on Wednesday for work. I'm going to try to hit up 1 or 2 of those public pieces and get some boots on the ground, or at least get maybe a camera out there. That might be stupid. I'm not really sure, but I got to figure something out. So that's my plan to achieve some of these goals. I do frequently e-scout on Onyx, and I'm really focusing on micro terrain features. So not the humongous, rolling hills or, not a lake or a pond or anything. I'm looking for the very slight, quote unquote, washout sort of mini drainage that's on the backside of, say, a ridge. I'm looking at that. I'm looking for pinch points between what appears to be bedding and food or water. I'm taking my Onyx maps and I'm zooming in to some of the areas that do not have any tree cover, and I'm looking for game trails. And I know that might sound crazy, but if you go to Onyx and you look at a public piece that has some areas that don't have any trees on it, and you zoom in as far as you can go, it starts to get pretty blurry. But if you back out just a little bit, you can very frequently see game trails of some form or fashion. I don't know what they are, but I'd be willing to guess that if something's moving through there, lots of things are moving through there. And just if let's say you find a well-worn beaver trail, well, I bet you the muskrats take it, and I bet you the raccoons take it, the trash pandas. I bet you the possums take it, and hell, maybe even the deer use the same game trail. And flipped it. If you find a deer trail with deer tracks, I bet you the other animals are using it too. So do yourself a favor, focus in on those trails as we move into the colder times of the year. Those deer are not going to be as adventurous. They're going to be very mission-based. Bed, food, water, and then in reverse. Focus on the trails, the easiest routes as possible. They are not getting wild and going on these long adventures way out of their way for no reason. The bucks are exhausted and they are depleted, and they need to beef up for the rest of the year if they're going to survive. And those does, they got babies all up in them, and they need to feed that baby. They need to increase, their blood is creating an embryo or two and a fetus, and they are growing another animal inside of themselves. Not another animal. They're growing another deer inside of themselves, and they need to nourish their bodies by eating and drinking, and they are not fucking around and going on long walks under the moonlight. They are going to bed, and they are going to eat, and if you focus on that, you will find success. I'm going to do the same thing. So that's the episode this week. Now What is what it's going to be called. Thanks, everybody, for your continued support and words of encouragement as it relates to our Kansas episode being entertaining, as it relates to my recent success in Illinois, shooting my biggest buck ever. And I also was a guest on a podcast recently with our good friend Uncle Joe from the Generations to Hunt podcast. If you want to go check it out, head on over to his page, wherever you get podcasts, look up Generations to Hunt and the Uncle Brett episode, and you can hear my recent stories about my last couple of years in Kansas and Illinois, and my successes and my failures, and what I learned, and on how I've parlayed that into hunting out of state, and how much fun I'm having doing it. So anyway, thanks, everybody. Appreciate you. We will talk to you next week.